Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of the very first episode of Season 2 of Penny Dreadful, which was entitled Fresh Hell. And, wow, before we get into it, I did want to say they did release the episode early. It's not supposed to premiere until May 3rd, but their official YouTube did put out the episode to be viewed and watched. And they also released it on SHOWTIME On Demand, I believe, if you have, Comcast and Xfinity and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely check it out. Of course, they do this, likely to promote and to, sort of like hype it and, sort of like garner interest in it and stuff like that. And yeah, I watched it on YouTube just this past, within the past couple hours, actually. And wow, it really pretty much blew away my expectations for it. And I've been a fan of Penny Dreadful. I really enjoyed Season 1. I actually meant to do a review on the Season 1 finale a while ago. But yeah, it never came to fruition. I apologize about that. But I do plan on doing a weekly review as new episodes come out. And this one, like I said, they released early, so check out their official YouTube channel if you want to watch it. The only thing about it being on YouTube is, it's censored, at least as far as the nudity goes. I'm not sure about the violence on it. But, of course, with the nudity that is on Showtime, they do have to, blur it out to put it on YouTube and stuff like that. But it's not really a big deal. It doesn't really take away from anything, But I'm sure some of you would like it unblurred nonetheless. And, yeah, so it's on their YouTube. It's on demand. And you can probably also find your own ways to watch it or just wait for the episode to premiere too. The only thing that sucks is that now I watched the premiere early. I'll have to wait until May 10th to watch the second episode, which kind of sucks, but nonetheless it was worth it because wow, man, just seriously a fantastic season premiere. And like I said, definitely exceeded my expectations. And we start off in a great, well, for us as fans and viewers and stuff, a great place, seeing Vanessa, sort of like on her own in the winter and stuff like that. I like how the snow coming down, it really sets the tone in the atmosphere. I like how they do that. We see Vanessa walking alone, in a park sort of area. And, of course, she's being watched by Evelyn Poole, who is, by the way, played tremendously by, I want to say Helen McCrory, okay, I apologize for the butchering of the name here. But Evelyn Poole is watching Vanessa. Also, she's known as Madame Kali, who we've seen a little bit last season, at the table and stuff like that. But yeah, her role is definitely expanded for this season. If you guys have been watching any previews for it or seeing any behind-the-scenes stuff about the season of Penny Dreadful, you'll know that Madame Kali or Evelyn Poole is, most likely going to be our main antagonist, our main villain, at least for Season 2. And I was a little bit hesitant about it. I was a little bit iffy on it because I really liked how they, did the vampires in Season 1 and stuff like that. And I do still hope they bring in their own version of Dracula at some point. I think they could do that really well. They could definitely portray that character in a great way. But with that, I was a little bit worried that, I'm a big fan of vampires, obviously, so I was a little bit worried that this whole witch-centered thing with Evelyn and stuff like that was going to sort of be a little bit less intriguing to me, but no, apparently I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong, because just the way Helen acts as a character is just fantastic. And the way that she's written so far, even early on, she's definitely a more complicated villain, I think. And, of course, she's being, controlled or, sent by Satan, Lucifer himself and stuff like that. And, he still wants to claim Vanessa as his, bride, for when he, takes over the world and stuff like that. And so that's sort of like Evelyn's mission, and she also has her witches, her daughters, I guess you could say. They're called Nightcomers, as Vanessa refers to them as towards the end of the episode. And yeah, they're definitely pretty scary. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of horror stuff, so this stuff doesn't really scare me, but it's definitely pretty yeah, let's just say scary. It's scary, okay? Scary in a way I didn't really expect him to be. Because like when they attack and when they're like all like rabid and stuff like that, they're in this sort of more demonic form, and then they go back to their more human yet still kind of creepy looking appearance and stuff like that. And right away we see, or early on at least, we see Vanessa and Ethan in the carriage, and Ethan of course has just been through a bit of trauma himself because he did lose Brona at the end of last season, but not really that at this point. We see him sort of just like waking up and seeing all the carnage he's left in his blackout, as he tells Vanessa. Of course, we know at this point Ethan's a werewolf, which is a really cool scene at the end of last season to see that reveal. We all kind of knew it was coming. We all knew that was kind of what was going on with him, but I really like the effects they use for it when he is in beast form and werewolf form and stuff like that. I'm glad they went more of the Wolfman route instead of like the more generic, stereotypical wolf thing a lot of the shows do nowadays. Like, I love Vampire Diaries, but I hate that they have like a regular wolf as a werewolf, you know what I mean? I prefer the more humanoid Wolfman style of a werewolf, you know what I mean? So I'm glad they're definitely going that route. And Ethan's actually planning on leaving London because of, the carnage he was leaving behind and stuff like that, wherever he went, eventually anyway. And, he's worried that eventually it's going to happen and he'll be, like, around Vanessa or, Sir Malcolm or, people like that, and, he'll hurt them or kill them, basically. So he is planning on leaving London and, going to Russia or something like that, but when he sees what's going on with Vanessa and what she's, starting to have to contend with, that Lucifer is still trying to get her within his grasp, he stays behind, and, him and Vanessa actually have a pretty interesting conversation, about what's going on with him. He doesn't really tell her the full truth, he doesn't use the word werewolf or anything, he just says he sort of has these blackouts, sometimes, and then he wakes up and there's blood. He doesn't know what happened or anything like that. And, with werewolf stories, it kind of varies whether the person actually, recalls exactly what they did while they were a werewolf. And I'm not sure if he does or not. Of course, he probably knows what he did to a certain extent, obviously, with seeing the carnage and stuff. He probably sees, like, flashes of it in his mind, I would think. But obviously, he knows more than he tells Vanessa. But nonetheless, I sort of like how they're sort of getting closer to each other. And, of course, Ethan is actually starting to care more and more about Vanessa as well, sort of like asking her what's wrong, what she's going through and stuff like that. And, Vanessa claims, it's something that she has to face and, contend with and, basically fight on her own. But, of course, they know, and, even she knows that they're still going to try to help her. And Sir Malcolm returns from Mina's funeral. Vanessa didn't come for certain reasons. I think we can kind of assume why she won't want to go to Mina's funeral. But we did see a pretty interesting scene of Sir Malcolm at the gravesite of Mina. We've seen him, I believe, meet up with his ex-wife. I believe we've seen like the flashbacks of last season and stuff. Like he had the affair that he cheated on, with Vanessa's mother and stuff like that. We see him, he basically tells her, that they can sort of like rely on each other again. They were happy once, and she tells him that not only he was happy at one point, and anything that was left between them is buried in the graves. Of course, with what happened to his son when, Malcolm and him, traveled together, that Malcolm sort of talked about last season. And then also the grave of Mina, of course, we know what happened to her with the vampires and stuff like that. And so that was kind of, depressing and stuff like that. But nonetheless, really well acted. I like the actress they have for the ex-wife, too. Let's see. And, yeah, of course, so when, Vanessa and Ethan have that conversation, they're attacked by, the Nightcomers. And, yeah, it was really, really intense. I didn't expect something that, like, action-y or... It wasn't really action. It was action, but, yeah, it was more horror than anything. And we see them attack the carriage, they kill the horses and the carriage driver and stuff like that. And, Vanessa and Ethan managed to fight them off. But as we find out, later on, that Vanessa kind of says if they wanted her dead, she'd probably be dead at this point, basically. But, it could have been more just to send a message, and Vanessa sort of unleashes this power in herself to sort of, like, ward them off. And she doesn't even know entirely where it came from. was nonetheless a very powerful moment when she used that language and stuff like that. And Vanessa says they spoke in this sort of let's see, verbis diablo, which is supposed to be like the language of the devil, of Lucifer. And they say how Lucifer took God's words, God's language, and like turned them inside out and stuff like that. And Vanessa sort of like fights against it with the knowledge and the power that's within her, even if she doesn't fully know the extent of it or exactly what it is or where it's coming from. She fights it off. And there's a lot of other great stuff in this episode too, with the creature, or Caliban. He is definitely concerned about Brona Croft being brought back to life as his bride. Basically, you're basically going to see a version of Frankenstein's Bride here. And I do like the take they have on Frankenstein in this. I like how, of course, Dr. Frankenstein himself is portrayed. I like the actor they have for him. We've known him for a while now on the show. Henry Treadway, and I also like the actor they have for the creature, or Caliban, Rory Kinnear. They both do excellent jobs, and they have great chemistry together, even though their relationship is very, very damaged and tense. But nonetheless, Victor helps the creature, or Caliban, I'll just call him the creature, okay? Bring Brona to life. They set her up, and they have to wait for a storm to get the power and stuff like that. And you sort of have to suspend your disbelief for the show, yes, but you just sort of have to accept that there's supernatural forces in this, so thus things like this are possible. And even though it feels like unbelievable, they still make it feel realistic in a certain way. It's pretty unique with the way they do it. Yet it's such a out there subject and out there storylines. Yeah, they still make it feel so grounded, and yet still believable enough to pull you in, which I think is very, very great. And so you see Brona brought back to life eventually towards the later part of the episode, and we don't know how she's going to be yet. Like Victor Frankenstein said, he doesn't know if she's going to have any recollection of her life before, or how she's going to receive the whole, how she's going to act in this world and stuff like that. And while the creature is gone, Victor's sort of like caressing her body while she's in the water, which is kind of weird. So I wonder if he has a fascination with her, or just what he's doing, or if maybe he's sort of like seeking some sort of love as well. I'm not sure. And then with the creature himself, he's out and about looking for another job after the whole stage thing last season. And he finds this wax museum, and he's sort of like drawn in by all these sculptures and statues that the guys made and stuff like that. And he gets a job there, which is good at first, because we see he says his name is like John Clare or something like that. So should we call him John Clare now? No, I'm just gonna refer to him as a creature. Anyway, so the creature, he is approached by the daughter of the owners of this wax museum. Of course, the wife who handles the financing and the staff and stuff like that. She's like really strict and sort of gazes at him in a funny way. And of course, he's cautious about anyone seeing him with his face and stuff like that. But their daughter, who's actually blind, comes out and asks to feel his face, because that's the only way she can really like meet people. Which does make sense. That does apply to real life as well. And if you think about that psychologically and stuff like that. And so she feels his face, and she does nothing but smile and says, it's great to meet you. So that's pretty nice. And he can still tell that despite him getting this bride to sort of like join him as what he is, or who he is, however you want to put it, he's sort of still seeking more and more human contact, like more and more feelings like brought to him by other people, that socializing and stuff like that. He wants that kindness, that love and affection from others, as he told Victor at the end of towards the end of last season, that oh my creator, why did you allow me to feel? Because he feels all sadness and grief and stuff like that, but yet he still seeks it out. He still seeks out that human comfort, that human connection and stuff like that, which is really, really intriguing. So yeah, I'm glad they're Frankenstein's monster, the creature, Caliban, isn't really like a big brute on the show. You know, I'm glad they didn't really go that route, because I know that's what a lot of people think of Frankenstein as nowadays. You know, that big hulking tall brute that just, you know, like and stuff like that, which is still a classic portrayal of it, but they sort of base it more off the original book. You know, where he's more about the emotion and loneliness and stuff like that. And he's written in such a brilliant way, so I'm glad they've been keeping him around. I'm excited to see where his character goes. I guess hope it doesn't end in a complete tragedy like it does in almost all the Frankenstein stories, but we'll see where that goes long term. And yeah, let's see what else there is. And of course, it ends. We see this great scene with Evelyn Poole, you know, talking to her nightcomers. And, you know, she, you know, scorns one of them for failing to, you know, fully make out what Vanessa said to, you know, sort of like send them away. And, you know, and she basically gets pissed, to put it lightly. And she ends up, you know, slashing one of their throats and, you know, killing one of them, you know, for failing and stuff like that. And she's, yeah, a very intense leader, or intense general for Lucifer here, I should say. And, you know, so that was a great scene to see her, like, Evelyn sort of like bathing in blood of a body and stuff like that, which is really creepy with her singing and the music and stuff, really atmospherical. And, you know, they also acknowledge that there was someone else with Vanessa, and of course that was Ethan, and they acknowledge that she has a protector. And, you know, they also say that he seems to be powerful, and that she sort of like lays it out that her nightcomers will have to deal with him mainly, and she'll try to focus on Vanessa. And I wonder if they know what Ethan is right now. If they know he's a werewolf or what, or they just sense like a certain power coming from him, because as we know, he has like a knowledge of, you know, religion and against the devil, or, you know, and stuff like that with his background and stuff, which we still have to find out more about. But I'm wondering, you know, like, if they know specifically where the power is coming from, or if they like have like a general feeling when they're near him and stuff like that. I don't know. But it's gonna be really exciting to see when that whole werewolf thing about Ethan gets revealed to like the rest of the characters too. That should be interesting. And yeah, it ends with a sort of like a standoff, yet not standoff, between, you know, Vanessa and Evelyn. You know, sort of like, you know, shout, you know, Vanessa's at the cross that she has in her room, and, you know, Evelyn Poole's, you know, communicating with Lucifer, and they're sort of like dual chanting back and forth. And it's really intense, it's really kind of horrifying, but yet it's really powerful and, you know, just full of energy and stuff like that. So it was a fantastic scene. And yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about specifically with the episode. Again, if you guys want to talk about something else I didn't really mention in this video, feel free to comment. I would love to talk about it more. Even if I did mention it, I would love to talk about it more in general. This was a great episode. And yeah, Penny Dreadful, man. It's a fantastic show. If you like horror, if you like, you know, a good drama even, if you like thrillers, it's definitely a show you should check out, especially if you like horror aspects, you know, are like acted really well and written really well. Just the writing on the show is incredible too, because it feels natural with the characters, with the way they speak. Yeah, at the same time, the writing and the dialogue and stuff is like really poetic and deep. And I honestly haven't seen any other show with this like enthralling of writing style. And so that's one of the best things about the show. And of course, all the actors are fantastic. Eva Green, of course, completely steals the show. She easily should have won an Emmy for season 1, no question. I hope she gets something else for it at some point. I think even IGN last year named her the best actress on TV, which I heavily agree with. She is incredible. And I love her character, Vanessa Ives, as well. Her and Ethan are my favorite characters on the show, if you're wondering. And, yeah, just, you know, even Timothy Dalton does a great job as well. And Josh Hartnett, of course. Even Helen, you know, McCrory, sorry about that again, you know, is looking great as our villain, too, for this season. You know, and the guy who plays Victor Frankenstein. The whole cast is just really solid and great. So it's all really good, and the visuals on the show are really nice as well. I like the environments, I like the setting, I like, sort of like the older style of it all too. And yeah, so yeah, there's my review of the season 2 premiere of Penny Dreadful Fresh Hell, and you guys should definitely check it out on YouTube, but it is censored on YouTube, so go check it out on Showtime On Demand if you have access to Xfinity, which is Comcast. And or just wait till May 3rd to watch the premiere on Showtime itself. And yeah, the second episode's not till May 10th, but expect a review of that episode within a day or so afterwards. So I'll definitely be reviewing each episode as it's aired this season. Of course, it's just a great show, and the season's off to a very, very impressive start. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Great episode. Can't wait to talk about the next one, May 10th, May 11th, right around there. And peace.